In the rugged hills and coal fields of 19th-century Pennsylvania, a clandestine group of Irish-American miners rose to prominence, their name whispered with a mixture of awe and fear: the Molly Maguires. Shrouded in secrecy and born of desperation, this group emerged as a formidable force advocating for workers' rights amidst harsh working conditions and oppressive industrial practices. The story of the Molly Maguires is a complex tapestry of social struggle, cultural identity, and the fine line between justice and criminality. The roots of the Molly Maguires trace back to Ireland, where agrarian secret societies were a common response to economic hardships and landlord oppression. In the early 19th century, tenant farmers in Ireland faced exorbitant rents, forced evictions, and widespread famine. Groups such as the White Boys, Ribbonmen, and the Molly Maguires formed to resist these injustices, often through direct action that included property destruction and intimidation. The Molly Maguires, in particular, were known for their night raids, during which they would disguise themselves in women's clothing to obscure their identities. When waves of Irish immigrants fled their homeland in the mid-19th century, driven by the Great Famine and economic despair, they carried with them not only their cultural heritage, but also the methods of resistance that had defined their survival in Ireland. Settling in industrial hubs across the United States, many found work in the burgeoning coal mining industry, particularly in Pennsylvania's anthracite coal region. Here, the conditions were as grim as those they had left behind, with long hours, meager wages, and life-threatening dangers. Coal mining in the 19th century was a perilous occupation. Miners faced cave-ins, explosions, and toxic gases, with little to no safety regulations to protect them. The companies that controlled the mines wielded immense power, often owning the workers' homes, the stores where they bought goods, and even the schools their children attended. This company-town system created a cycle of dependency and exploitation, as miners were frequently paid in company scrip, a form of currency only redeemable at company-owned establishments. Irish immigrants, many of whom spoke little English and were viewed with suspicion by the predominantly Anglo-American establishment, often bore the brunt of this exploitation. They faced discrimination both in the workplace and in society, where anti-Catholic and anti-Irish sentiments ran high. It was in this environment that the Molly Maguires re-emerged, adapting their Irish traditions of resistance to the harsh realities of American industrial capitalism. Operating in secrecy, the Molly Maguires became synonymous with the fight for workers' rights in Pennsylvania's coal fields. They were believed to be an offshoot of the Ancient Order of Hibernians, AOH, a fraternal organization that provided mutual aid and support for Irish immigrants. While the AOH operated openly, the Molly Maguires functioned as its clandestine arm, addressing grievances through more militant means when peaceful methods failed. The group's activities ranged from organizing strikes and sabotaging company property to intimidating or attacking mine bosses and strikebreakers. They were accused of a series of violent incidents, including arson and murder, though the extent to which these crimes were coordinated by the Molly Maguires remains a subject of historical debate. For the miners, however, the Molly Maguires represented a symbol of defiance against a system that seemed intent on grinding them into the dirt. By the 1870s, tensions between miners and mine owners had reached a boiling point. The mine owners, determined to crush any resistance, turned to the Pinkerton Detective Agency, a private security firm known for its aggressive tactics. Alan Pinkerton, the agency's founder, assigned James McParlin, an Irish-born operative, to infiltrate the Molly Maguires. Using the alias James McKenna, McParlin embedded himself within the mining community, gaining the trust of the miners and allegedly becoming privy to the inner workings of the Molly Maguires. Over the course of several years, McParlin gathered evidence, some of it highly controversial, that implicated members of the group in acts of violence and conspiracy. The Pinkerton operation culminated in a series of trials between 1876 and 1878, during which McParland testified against the accused. 20 members of the Molly Maguires were convicted and 10 were executed by hanging. These trials were deeply polarizing, with supporters of the miners denouncing them as a travesty of justice, orchestrated by the mine owners to suppress labor activism. Critics pointed to the reliance on McParland's testimony and the lack of corroborating evidence as indicative of a biased and flawed judicial process. The downfall of the Molly Maguires marked a turning point in the history of labor relations in the United States. On one hand, their story highlighted the desperate conditions that drove workers to take extreme measures in their fight for dignity and fair treatment. On the other, it underscored the lengths to which industrialists would go to maintain control, using private security forces and the legal system to suppress dissent. The Molly Maguires remain a contentious subject among historians. Some view them as heroic figures who stood up against injustice, while others see them as a cautionary tale of how violence can undermine legitimate struggles for social change. The truth likely lies somewhere in between, reflecting the complexities of a society grappling with rapid industrialization and profound economic inequalities. For the Irish-American community, the Molly Maguires hold a special place as both a cautionary and inspirational chapter in their history. Their story speaks to the resilience and resourcefulness of immigrants who, despite facing tremendous odds, refused to be silenced. It also serves as a reminder of the sacrifices made by those who laid the groundwork for modern labor rights and protections. The saga of the Molly Maguires continues to resonate in contemporary discussions about workers' rights and the power dynamics between labor and capital. As debates over unionization, workplace safety, and economic inequality persist, the struggles of 19th-century coal miners offer valuable insights into the challenges and triumphs of collective action. The story also invites reflection on the role of law enforcement and the judicial system in mediating conflicts between workers and employers. The use of private security forces, undercover operations, and controversial legal tactics in the Molly Maguires case raises important questions about the balance between maintaining order and ensuring justice. In a broader sense, the Molly Maguires exemplify the enduring human quest for dignity and fairness in the face of adversity. Their legacy serves as a powerful testament to the courage and determination of ordinary people who dared to challenge the status quo, paving the way for a more equitable society. The tale of the Molly Maguires is a compelling chapter in the history of labor and immigration in the United States. It is a story of resilience, resistance, and the complex interplay of culture, identity, and social justice. While their methods and motivations may be debated, there is no denying the impact they had on the fight for workers' rights and the broader struggle for equality in an era of profound social and economic change. Their legacy continues to inspire and provoke, reminding us of the sacrifices made by those who dared to dream of a better world.